Hi and welcome to Daddy Care's YouTube channel. Today we're actually going to just cover off formula milk because here again in the UK we found a real lack of information on this. Everything tends to focus in on breast milk, and if you're like us, when you come out of the hospital you actually had to use some formula milk, and of course it's a stressful time with a new baby, and then you start to hunt for things on the internet. You can't actually find anything in relation to how you use formula milk. So there's really two main types of formula milk here in the UK, and there's different brands. I've got obviously the Aptamil brand, but there is other brands out there. You can obviously choose your own. But here we've got the pre-packaged, if you like, sterile bottle of pre-made milk. It's obviously a liquid. And then you've got the tin of powdered milk. If I just zoom in, you can see there's the powdered milk in there. There's two key differences, I guess. The first being the milk that's pre-made is sterile and it's good to use straight out the bottle, whereas the powdered milk is not sterile and you need to sterilise that with boiling water prior to using it. And the other is actually, the biggest difference is the cost. Really, for here in the UK, you're looking about 80 pence for one of these, or $1 in the US. And for the tub, which is 900 grams, is about £10 here, or about $14, I guess, in the US. And really, where you get to is about, you get probably about 20 times the amount of milk, depending on how much milk you're using each time. About 20 times out of that than you would that. So it's about half the cost, if you like, to use the powder than it is to use the actual bottles. Is pretty much what we found in reality. You tend to chuck more of the pre-made milk out because your baby only consumes sort of 30 and 40 mils in the initial first sittings. So I thought I would actually just run through making a quick formula milk here, because again we found this pretty frustrating, and I found myself on the phone to several friends with kids rather than actually being able to find how you do this on the internet. So what we've got here is a pre-sterilised bottle, which if you see the other videos on the channel you'll see how that we go about sterilising bottles and what that actually means. But it's pretty easy, so we're just going to go ahead and use a powder one to fill the bottle. So typically, I'll just pre-make one here. So it comes with one of these little scoops, and they're pre-made. And depending on what you want to make, if I just zoom the camera in, and that you can see that a bit better. How many mils you want depends on how many scoops. But I'm going to go ahead and make sort of 30 mils here. So one, and put that into the bottle. Two. And there's actually a nice little self-leveler. You want to try and get level spoons so that you put it in, because you shouldn't use more formula and less milk in less water, and vice versa. It can actually harm the baby, so you need to get the setup correct. And that's the third one. And a top tip, guys, that we found is make sure you count the number in, because when you're doing this at 3 in the morning, half asleep, you actually forget how many you've put in, and quite often we wasted quite a lot of formula in the early days because we couldn't remember if we'd done 2, 3 or 4 scoops. So 3 scoops are in. The next thing to do is to take the kettle. Now I've pre-boiled this kettle and we'd let it cool down, but not for longer than 30 minutes or it becomes sort of unsterile again. And if I just come down to level here, you can see I'm going to make 3 fluid ounces with my 3 scoops. Again, check your formula for the ratios, it might change, but here in the UK this one is 3 fluid ounces for 3 scoops. Okay, so I've just screwed that off camera into position, and so basically what I do is screw the lid on, and typically I put the other lid on as well, and that allows us to really just give it a good shake. And we give it quite a hefty shake actually, just to make sure that all the formula is dissolved. A good top tip actually if your baby's got colic is I'd use a knife and stir it, but we're past all that stage. It just removes some of the bubbles, we're past that stage, we don't need to worry about that, but that's a top tip if your baby has colic. Okay, so the milk's pretty well mixed in now, but you can feel it actually, because I've just used the boiling water, it's far too hot for the baby to take. So what I actually do then is typically just run it onto the tap and just cool it down. Cold water, just really cooling it down. Make sure you don't tight to not get too much on top of the teat, and I just run it for a temperature. It just feels, taken out of the cold water, feels temperature, still a bit too warm. Typically about 40 to 50 seconds. Again, here in the UK, the advice we've been given is always one of it would rather be too cold than too hot, so I just tend to err on the side of caution. So again, it depends on how long you've left the kettle on for how long you actually want to run it, but it's typically about a minute for me here. And of course I can actually feel that's pretty cool already. A good top tip, and I'm sure you have this already, is actually if you just put some in maybe the soft part of your wrist inside, and if it's too warm in there, then typically it's too warm for the baby. Okay guys, that's a quick introduction to formula milk. The only other thing I'd say is if you are going to pre-make milk in advance, the bottle on this, I think it says it can last for a day in the fridge, but typically it says actually for hygiene reasons, unfinished feed should be used within 2 hours. Any unused milk in the bottle can be stored by replacing the cap and storing in the fridge for the 24 hours. So if it goes into the bottle, 2 hours. If it's not, you've got a day pretty much in there. And the powder is actually, we typically just ran with the 2 hour rule. If it was over 2 hours, we would typically ditch it to be on the safe side. So actually, you tend to make a fresh batch, if I'm honest, every time you want to feed the baby. It is a little bit more waste, but at least you know you're not going to give the baby an upset stomach. Okay, well, hopefully this has been useful, and join us next time on Daddy Cares YouTube channel. Thank you.